Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. If you don't know me and you don't know this lovely lady sitting next to me or above me, I'm not sure how Zoom makes it look, but we're going to introduce ourselves and then we're going to get right into it because I know that you guys are super busy, probably got kids running around like crazy. I do. So if you hear them in the background, I apologize, but I'm solo parenting tonight and that's just mom life, right? So tonight, I hope you're here for the right webinar. This is Happy Hormones and Pain-Free Posture for the holiday season. And Kelli, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Perfect. Hi, guys. I am Kelli Harvey, and I am a personal trainer and fitness instructor. I have been for the last 12 years, and I specialize in spinal health and posture. So that's one of my focuses, just on teaching people tips and tricks to get through daily life, activities of daily life, pain-free, and being able to just be super, super mindful of your posture. I find oftentimes that after I share my tips, people will message me and they're like, I was just in Target and I saw somebody doing this, and I thought about you and I thought about my posture. So when I hear people kind of jump in with, I thought about you because of this, that's what makes me happy. And I'm a mama to three little girls, 9, 10, and 12. I have various other jobs outside of personal training and fitness, but that's one of my passions for sure.
Yeah, when Kelli talks to me, when she calls or something, I'll immediately go like this.
But I tend to walk into a room, restaurant, bar, family gathering, and I see my friends and they're all like, oh, he's here, stand up straight.
She has a very good effect on people. Um, So my name is Leah Vachani, and I'm a certified nutrition coach. I basically help motivated women over 40 feel fabulous and reclaim their sleep, mood, energy, and waistline. So that's what I do. I love it. I have several other businesses as well, but this is where my true passion lies. I'm a busy mom. I have two boys, ages 10 and 13, who you might hear in the background. I apologize for that. But, after I turned 40 and especially having kids, like everything that worked before 40 was just, it was like a magical switch happened, although it's not magical, it's horrible. And everything that was working before didn't work anymore. So I figured out how to shift that around and, just reclaim your energy, your youth, all the things that we want. We want to keep up with our kids. We want to live long, healthy lives. We want to keep the brain going. We want to just enjoy life. And nowadays we have the potential to live to 100 and thrive almost to 100. So that's what I love to do for women. So I know we're on a timeline here. So Kelli, why don't you jump in first and share your tips, and then I'll jump in, and then we'll go to a Q&A. Sound good?
That sounds amazing. So you guys, a couple of things that I wanted to touch on, and I like to use my hands a lot, and you'll see that I'll use my body as well because I'm a very visual person, if you can't tell. One of the things I want to talk about, since we're moving into the holiday season, and one of the biggest things is stress, right? Because we are we're worried about the gift giving process. We're worried about getting together with family and friends who might be traveling through the holidays. So the tips that I want to give you all refer over to kind of resetting your mind, making that mindset shift, and just having that positive energy. I find that when your posture is pretty spot on, that your brain just clears. There's something that changes inside of you. So the tips that I'm going to give you, I'm going to make them really easy in a bullet point, and then I'm actually going to stand up and also show you what I mean, because again, I love the visual part. So first thing I want to touch on, posture while traveling. I have chatted with multiple moms at Pickup who have said, where are you headed this holiday season? So I know that there are a lot of people traveling. One of the things I love to do in an airport is people watch, right? Who doesn't people watch? The best place ever. You guys, what I see the most, because people are stressed about getting to their gates, they're stressed about dragging their kids through the airport or that extra piece of luggage they had to bring through the airport instead of checking it. when we feel stress, all of a sudden we start to curl up. We start to shrink into ourselves. That stress plays a big role on our posture. So all of a sudden now we've got pressure in our low back. That's going to give us pain and lead to other chronic issues. Our shoulders are shrinking down, which means that our spine is going into a hunched over position. So if you've ever seen an older person that kind of walks around with that hunch, right? The tips that I give you really work to alleviate that and make sure that that's not the path you go down. So one of my biggest travel tips, when you go to the airport, and this works in a car too, it's just a little different in a car. But when you go to an airport and you're running through, trying to get to your gate, don't sit down. There's no reason to sit down right away. A lot of people get to their gate, they sit down and they immediately go like this, and then they go like this and look at their phone. So all of a sudden we're in that poor posture. We've just been stressed. We've stressed our body about getting to the gate. We're on time. Just stand up. Just stand up. And I'm going to give you these standing cues as I model my body for you to see in a few minutes, just so that you can go through that mental checklist for yourself and really make sure that you're doing it properly, right? That we're standing tall. And I'll lead this will actually lead into something else. So the other thing is you're going to end up sitting on the plane for the next couple hours on your flight. So why go ahead and sit? Sitting is the new smoking. We don't want you sitting, you guys. A lot of people have poor posture when they sit. So I want you to literally get to your gate, stand up, walk around, just be very mindful of your posture. Check out everybody else's posture. You're going to look at their posture and you're going to go, that's not me. So that's one tip for you. The second tip, what that leads into for me, sorry, somebody's walking up my doorstep right now. What that leads into is when you're driving and you're traveling. So when we're sitting in a car and we're traveling to our destination, oftentimes you're traveling, 2 hours, possibly 3 hours. What happens is a lot of people will get in their car and the car is not built for lumbar support typically. So a lot of people end up in this position. They round forward with their spine, and then because you're bored, you're on your phone, right? Kids do it too. So what I want you to do, I want you to make a couple adjustments when you're sitting in your car a couple of times on that trip. I want you to really sit up straight, and what's going to happen is your back is going to pull away from the back part of your seat because you don't want to round into it. Go ahead and sit up. Pull your navel in, sit tall from your hips, not your belly button, but your hips. See how that adjusts your posture as you're traveling. And then instead of doing this, and you can tell your kids this too, instead of doing this, I want you to actually hold your phone up so that you're looking directly at it. Your spine stays long, and now we're not pulling on your low back. So that's a big thing. That's one of my big tips is with technology. You always want to have it lifted high. Try and get your kids to do that too, so that you're sitting like this with your neck long. 2 very simple travel tips. That's going to move me into, you guys, is anybody stressed about the in-laws coming over or crazy Aunt Sally, for lack of a better, I just came to name. So with that, what happens too is we start again to shrink into ourselves. So my biggest piece of advice, as you start to feel the weight of the holiday come in and we start to kind of round forward like this, I really want everybody to remember there's 4 things that I'm going to have you guys remember, and I'm going to show them to you in a half a second too. This also works for gift wrapping. So that's another thing at the holiday season. We tend to sit on the ground, and I've been guilty of this, by the way. Your low back kills by the end of wrapping your gifts, you guys. And it's all because we end up so rounded forward, and we're rounding from our waist and our hips. And then our back just goes like this. All that pressure goes into your low back. And then when you go to stand up, you're really super stiff, right? Everybody's in agreement. It's the same thing every single time. If you take that wrapping paper to a table and you can sit at a table or even stand, now I'm going to give you those 4 tips that apply to everything that I'm talking about. You're going to think of me You're gonna think of me often. I actually had one client who said, "Oh my gosh, Kelly, I thought of you the other day. I went to go to the bathroom and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa." He goes, "No, I like made sure to hinge and then sit down." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's great." But you'll think of me in the most random places. So here's what I'm gonna tell you to think of and imagine, whether you're sitting, standing, and I want you to be able to see. So I'm actually gonna take my sweatshirt off because it's, if you're a visual person like I am, I want you to be able to see this portion of my body, my shoulders. So now, here's what everybody does, right? And then we get our phones and we do this. And did anybody watch Jerry Maguire? Your head weighs like the little boy who's like, your head weighs a certain pounds. He's absolutely right. If your head is on a 40-degree angle, that's 40 pounds of pressure you're putting on your spine into your back and your low back. So if you think about that, when you look like this, instead, if you do this, all of a sudden that pressure is released and there's no more pulling on your spine, something so simple. Now, if you feel yourself, crazy Aunt Sally comes to visit, you feel yourself like this, and you're starting to round, you're starting to shrink, you're feeling the weight of everything. I want you to think of these 4 tips that I'm going to go through with you. Weight shifts back to your heels. So your heels, instead of your toes are the front of your body, your weight is in the heels, which is the back of your body. You have larger muscle groups back there. From there, your hips versus your waist. Anyone have their parent tell them to throw their shoulders back and lift their chest? This is what it would look like if you were walking around. This is what I was told when I was younger by multiple people. Throw your shoulders back, lift your chest. What it does is it compresses everything in your spine and it actually gives you really bad posture. So it's opposite of what everybody wants you to do. So thinking from weight in your heels, instead of in your toes, you're going to shift the weight back. From your hips. Hips are where you want to lift, not your chest and your belly. That's this, the old school way. So if I lift from my hips and I think about pulling my navel in, now I'm going to separate my shoulders left and right. They're going to go broad. Think of, if you're a woman, you're the broadest broad in the room. I always say that and people get a giggle because you'll remember it. So shoulder blades broad. Next thing, chin is back. It's in line with your spine. So again, those 4 things. You're going to shift the weight from your toes to your heels. You're going to lift tall from your hip bones here. You're going to lift. You're going to grow an inch from the top of your head, the crown of your head. From there, think about being the broadest broad in the room, shoulder blades left and right, nice and broad. And then your chin pulls back and your chest is up. That takes you from being in this position to being in a much more lifted position. And I'm going to tell you why that's important. Because when we do have the weight and the stress of all the holidays and everything starts to come down on us, the minute you adjust your posture, you walk with more confidence. People see you as being more confident and giving off this big energy. That's huge. That is huge. That will open the door for so many things in your life to change. The minute you get into your own posture and your own comfort and your skin, everything else changes. And then my last tip is just to manage your mind surrounding that. So manage your mind with the positivity and the stress of the holidays. That's my last tip. So if you're going to remember anything, just remember standing nice and tall means getting broad, chin back, bringing your technology up. And that's the fun stuff of posture. You guys, I promise it will change your life and you will think of me and you'll just remember these tips and you'll go, Kelly and Leah told us that we need to do it this way. It's going to give you a much better holiday experience when you're traveling and doing all the amazing things.
Oh my God, that was amazing. I was actually standing here doing everything you said and I already felt better. So
Doesn't it make a difference? It kind of just clears your mind and it gives you that reset.
yeah, and it gives me something else to think about aside from weird Aunt Sally too.
Exactly. And I don't know who has a weird Aunt Sally, but or a crazy Aunt Sally, a crazy fun one. So now I get to turn it over to Leah. She is going to share her top 3 tips on how to have happy hormones during the holidays, stress free, just really being mindful of what you're doing in the nutrition space this holiday season. Over to you.
Absolutely. Okay, I don't know if I can top that. No one wants to talk about cutting out sugar or something after that. No.
I do.
Actually, I'm not going to tell you to do any like crazy diet this holiday. I'm not going to tell you to not eat the cookies, the Christmas cookies, and I'm not going to tell you to stop, having the champagne or the red wine with your family or whatever it is. That's not what today is about. But I did want to actually start, and let me see if I can share my screen because I have this really cool graphic. Um, let's see. I'm probably gonna go to the wrong thing right now. Let's see. Um, yeah, okay. Can you see that graphic? Give me a thumbs up, Kelly, if you can see it. Okay, awesome. So I wanted to talk really quick, very, very, very short. I promise we won't get too nerdy. I love nerding out on science, but I won't do that on you. I wanted to give you a visual about what happens when we are stressed. Now, stress is actually a really helpful thing for humans. It allowed us, many, many, many years ago to, if we had a lion chasing us, we could all of a sudden run faster, jump higher, leap further and get away from whatever wanted to eat us. Except now we don't really have any lions chasing us. The problem is that our bodies don't understand the difference between like an email your boss just sent us that totally stressed us out, or the school texted you and said your child is failing all their subjects or something. Like, we get these chronic stress triggers in our life and our body reacts the same way as if a tiger is chasing us. We haven't adapted to know the difference. So my point being is most of us live in a chronic state of stress. Now, if you look at this picture, cholesterol, which by the way gets a bad rap, but it's actually a precursor to some really important things in our body. So you do need it. Cholesterol turns into, excuse me, pregnenolone, which is another intermediate. Now, from here, depending on what the body needs, your body's going to either shuttle that molecule and turn it into cortisol, or it's going to turn it into estrogen and progesterone, which are our sex hormones, which we absolutely need as women, right? um, Now, it's not going to shuttle 100% over, but it is going to shuttle a lot. And that's going to affect our estrogen and progesterone levels, which, as we're, on the other side of 40, we need all of those that we can get. They're already on the decline. So, this is just to show you that when you're experiencing chronic states of stress, it will affect your hormone levels in addition to what is already being affected by age. So I wanted to show you that. And I wanted to show you when you are producing excess amounts of cortisol in your system, it's crazy how much it can affect. I mean, if you look at this list, everything from hunger and hostility, hello, hangry, right? To arthritis, a decreased metabolism, no one wants that, depression, hypertension, decreased immune system, by the way. And when we're traveling or just, in the winter time, there's a lot of stuff going around. So stress is going to decrease your ability to respond to that on your immune system level. Hypertension, chronic fatigue, sleep deprivation, migraines, tunnel vision, acid reflux. I mean, there's a lot going on here. So we all know stress is bad, but I just wanted to show you visually that it has a wide range of effects, of negative, deleterious effects on our bodies. So now I'm going to stop my share. And now that we know that stress is really bad and we want to decrease it, I also want to acknowledge that it's a hard time to decrease the stress. As Kelly touched on, we've got a lot going on right now during the holidays. we often, as moms, women, we tend to burden like a lot of the prep time for holidays, like getting the gifts, planning the meals, planning the parties. I mean, the list goes on, and we tend to shoulder a lot of that burden, or joy, however you want to see it. But it's just extra stuff on our plate. So, in addition to some of the techniques you might already be doing to manage your stress on an everyday basis, I have a few ideas to help you kind of minimize that even hopefully a little bit more. So, in terms of, I did want to touch on sleep first because when we're stressed, we often find it harder to get quality sleep. We also find it harder to fall asleep. And if your hormones are already kind of wackadoodle, you're going to have a hard time staying asleep too. So I did want to talk about a couple supplements. Melatonin is one. Now, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you to do anything. You should go and talk to your healthcare practitioner and all that good stuff. But I can tell you some things to go look into and talk to with your practitioner. So melatonin is one thing that I especially like if you're traveling across time zones. Some of us may only be traveling within a time zone. Other people might be traveling, across several time zones. And research shows that short-term use of melatonin is very safe. So unless you have a precondition that doesn't allow it, and I'm only talking about adults here, not kids, but you may want to look into that because it can be really helpful to kind of getting you in your travel mode onto a regular sleep pattern. Quick tip about melatonin, it doesn't activate when there's any sort of light. So you could take all the melatonin you want at noon and you're not going to fall asleep unless you're in like a cave or something with no light. But you can take it about 30 minutes before bed, and then you need to you need to darken. You want to be sleeping in a cave. We were meant to sleep with no electronics, no lights. And I know that can be more difficult if you're traveling in a different space, a different home, a hotel, whatever. But even those tiny little LED lights you find around your room on clocks, TVs, whatever, you got to cover those with like 10 layers of duct tape or take them out of the room or, turn it off. So otherwise the melatonin won't work. Another supplement I wanted to talk about, especially that I love for stress and for sleep, is magnesium. So, magnesium is actually like one of the most incredible supplements that unfortunately most people are deficient in. So it's a crucial component in our bodies for so many things. It can relax your muscles. It can actually help with migraines. It can help with hypertension, cardiovascular disease, libido, fertility. Like there's so many things that magnesium can help with. Unfortunately, with the way that our soil, the health of our soil these days, we don't have as much mineral in the soil of magnesium. So the plants, because you get a lot of source of magnesium in the diet is plants, nuts, seeds, they're not taking up as much magnesium when they grow. So when we eat it, we're just not eating as much magnesium in our diets as, previous generations did. And unfortunately, when we're stressed out, one of the first minerals we go through on a higher rate is magnesium. So we're cycling through it a lot faster when we're stressed. So you actually have to take in more. Now, you can take it in a pill tablet form, and that's totally fine. I prefer magnesium glycinate. It's really easy on the digestive system, very absorbable. I would say stay away from magnesium oxide because it's also used as, pushing things through faster. So, one thing that if you don't want to take a supplement that I find extremely relaxing are Epsom salt baths. So Epsom salt baths it's magnesium. You'll soak it in through your body, and the benefits are the list goes on and on and on. Plus, you're in a bath and you're relaxing. So you're like doing two things at once. You're giving your body a supplement, you're relaxing, you're actually detoxing too. So if you can take an Epsom salt bath, I mean, you could take one every night if you really want to. I did want to talk about one more supplement, and that one is maybe not as common. The one you might want to look into is rhodiola. It's Rhodiola. And this is called an adaptogen. So it really helps the body. So it's an herb. It helps the body balance during difficult times of change and stress. Um, it also helps us balance our female hormone system and the endocrine system. So it's when you're hyped up, it brings you down, and when you're low, it brings you up. That's what an adaptogen does. It helps just keep you balanced. It also can reduce the amount of cortisol that the body produces. I mean, I could go on and on, but I would just say look into that one too. And I know I don't want to go on and on about supplements. I did want to talk just really quickly about eating during the holidays because sometimes higher stress can cause us to kind of fall off the wagon with all of the work we've done throughout the year or maybe even the past couple weeks. Um, just a really few tips that I think you've probably heard before, but don't try and lose weight during the holidays. I would say if you have a goal, try and maintain. But it's just silly to try and lose weight when you're not setting yourself up for success when you're being in party environments, around family gatherings where there's so much food and most of it is not healthy. And you're also under a lot of stress. You might be traveling. There's just so many factors to not set yourself up for success. So don't try and lose weight, try and maintain. Save your weight loss goals for January 1st or something. Don't go hungry to a party. So that's probably the first thing that's going to happen when you go hungry to a party is you're going to crave the sweet and the salty. And that's not going to help you with your stress levels. So have a healthy snack before you go to a party. Hopefully that would have protein and fiber in it because protein and fiber are going to reduce your feelings of hunger. It's going to help you feel satisfied longer. And we all know what fiber is good for too. Keep it regular while you're traveling. No one wants to deal with constipation, okay? Magnesium helps with that too, though. Stay hydrated. If you don't know your hydration goals, just take your weight, whatever your weight is in pounds, divide it in half, and that's pretty much where you want to aim for in ounces of clear, non-caffeinated liquids. That can include bone broth, by the way. In the winter, that's really awesome. It can also include things like herbal teas, obviously water, basically anything that's not caffeinated and mostly clear-ish. And then I would just say my last recommendation here would be go for 80-20. So if 80% of your food fuels your body with nutrition, it's good for the body and the health, 20% can fuel the soul. So, maybe that 20% is your glass of red wine and your Christmas cookies and whatever it may be. So for the holidays, just go 80-20. Don't go like 10-90, 10% healthy, 90% not. I promise you'll feel so much better and you won't feel like you just fell so far off the wagon you have to climb Mount Everest to get back up. So if you go 80-20 and when you are having that 20%, savor it. Don't shove it down. Like take a bite and just be present and savor it because why are you eating it then if you're not savoring it? So go for your favorite dessert. Eat it slowly. Put your fork down in between each bite and just be present and enjoy it. I think that kind of wraps up my tips. Kelli, do you see any questions or do you want to add anything? I think you're muted, by the way. Let me go to the gallery. Okay, you're still muted. I have to unmute you. Oh, okay. I will. There we go.
Oh my gosh, you're like my other half of the brain. You guys, I joke with Leah all the time or we joke together. I'm like, you, me. She's like, oh, I have to unmute you. Got it. Like I could do sign language or like mouth something. And she's like, oh, I gotcha. I know what you're talking about. The other half of the brain. Oh my gosh, okay, I just wanted to say those tips were awesome because I did not, learning that there's two different types of magnesium, I think is super beneficial. I used to take magnesium on a regular basis, before bed when I had babies. And it was really, really helpful, I will say, for being able to fall asleep and letting my body relax. And just kind of, I think, clearing the mind before.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, there's actually more than two kinds of magnesium. I don't even know. There's a lot. Um, but I just talked about two.
Okay.
Those are my two, like the one I like and the one to stay away from. But there's actually one I didn't mention. And since many of the people here today are moms, I should probably mention this for kids that can't swallow. I know we're not talking about kids, but since we're traveling or spending holidays with a lot of kids home from school, this might be really helpful for your stress levels as moms. There is a ionic fizz type of magnesium. The common brand is Calm. Like it's literally called Calm, Calm. But there's other, like I know Whole Foods has their own brand of it too. It's a powder you put in warm water and it fizzes up and it tastes totally fine. Like kids love it. And
Ooh,
that's really great right before bedtime.
that's good to know. I've done melatonin for my kids before. Personal preference. I'm not recommending it. I'm not a doctor, but it does calm them. But my oldest, who's 12, has said she doesn't like the way it makes her feel when she wakes up in the morning. So she's a little bit groggier when she takes it. So I feel like the magnesium would be a better source for her. I like melatonin.
Huh. That's an interesting point. I would love to discuss that further with you another time. And I wonder if it has to do with her deep sleep, REM sleep being affected. That's an
My
interesting.
other two do not have that.
Huh.
So it's interesting because they call them nighttime vitamins.
Well, you know I like to geek out, so I'll geek out on that for you.
I
What's
would
that?
love. My gosh, I'm like, and I just like having the visual too really helps me because, like I said, I'm a visual person. So that's one of the things I really, really like too. And then I know somebody had mentioned about not depriving yourself, how important it is to not deprive yourself of the foods that you like in the chat. So I was going to bring that up too, because then you end up wanting to crave them more. And I do say that sometimes, like I will have a donut. If I want a donut, I will have a donut. Because if I don't have a donut, the minute I do, I'm going to eat five.
Yeah.
And it's good not to deprive yourself. And I think you touched on that. Like don't give up, don't give up the things during the holiday. Just adjust to your 80-20 rule. I love that.
Yeah, and you can deprive yourself in the new year for your resolution if you want, but that'll be a short term and you're not going to be around in a situation that's going to set you up for failure. So yeah, just don't do it over the holidays.
And then had mentioned too, the not eating or the eating before you go to a party rule was genius. Because and I've been one to show up to a party, look at everything they have because it's so much better when somebody else makes it for you.
I know, right?
Wow.
So
So awesome tips.
there's a question here, Kelly, in the chat. Does your pillow, can you give any advice on what type of pillow is good?
That's an awesome question. Because I have been looking into great pillows. And one thing that I will recommend, so one thing I didn't touch on, I've had 4 back surgeries in the last 5.5 years. So back pain is kind of my thing. I've been doing this for back pain specifically for 10 years now, helping people alleviate their back issues. Mine was not, I wasn't able to alleviate mine without surgery. That's okay. I don't recommend surgery unless you absolutely have to have it. But the one thing that has saved my back, I will say, since having surgery and recovery and going through all the things with back pain, a pillow between your thighs when you sleep, especially if you are a side sleeper. So it doesn't matter if it's a more firm pillow. You'll want it more between like a medium and a firm, not squishy, because hips will just rotate down and in. And I know this was not the question, but this is a big tip. So if you have a pillow between your thighs, it will keep your thighs, or I'm sorry, your hips neutral. So they're not closing down.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And it really helps if you do have tight hips, just that pulling, so you're not pulling in anymore. For the head, I know there is a pillow that I did just see, and it has a, if you're a side sleeper, it has a cutout for the side of your face so that you're not getting that squish, but it allows you, you know, we say back is best. Back is best for children, it's best for adults. If you can get a supportive pillow, that's amazing. If you're a side sleeper, you want to get something that has a look, and I am too. And that's why the pillow between the thighs for my hips works wonders. But you definitely want to have something that's not too firm when you're laying on your side, because otherwise your head props up like that. So you want to have something that really does try to keep your spine in line. And that perfect pillow, I have yet to find it. When I do, I will share. I'll scream it from the rooftops.
Well, and not to add another angle into the pillow, but I've been on a search for pillows that not only are good for your neck as a side sleeper, but also are non-toxic. And that is really hard because a lot of like the memory foam stuff will off-gas chemicals. Yeah, it's really hard when you know what you know.
You can't unsee what you know.
So maybe I shouldn't have told you that. I just stressed you all out more for the holidays.
I have to go check all my pillows now. Or just ask for a new one for Christmas. I mean, we are in the season where, I don't know what, but I tend to ask for things that are actually beneficial for myself or for my body, or they're useful for the home, as opposed to the kind of other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. My husband and I gifted each other like a one Vitamix between the two of us because it's quite a pricey thing. And we use, I think it's been like 8 years now. We use it every day. It's such a good time to think about those things, gifting the healthy stuff. Yeah.
I make a smoothie every day. I love my Vitamix.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best tool around. And I feel like if you have those, if you just get yourself those useful tools that lead to a healthier life, then you have no choice.
Yep.
To live a healthier life.
I agree. Well, Kelly, I say I don't see any more questions in the chat. Do you see any more?
Oh, I think we are good to go.
We should wrap it down. I know all the mamas are busy. All have so many things to do on their list before the holidays. So yeah. Well, why don't you share how people can get in touch with you if they don't have your contact info? Where's the best way?
So if you guys have any questions at all that we did not cover on or that I did not touch on, you can email livinginthrees@gmail.com. You can also find me on both Facebook, it's Kelli Cool Harvey, and cool is KUHL. So if you see that, it's me. And then Living in Threes on Instagram. And I'm happy to share more tips and tricks if you reach out. I will definitely share my knowledge with you. So how about you, Leah?
Yeah, same. Probably email is the easiest, although I'm in the middle of changing my email. So just just send it to my personal email, which is leahvachani@gmail, LEAHV. Well, you can see my name here. It's my name, leahvachani@gmail, LEAHVACHANI@gmail. And then I'm actually my name on Instagram. So Leah Vachani. That's the best. I do have a summit coming up that everyone probably wants to know about. It's all for women over 40. So if you want to feel if you are over 40 and you want to feel fabulous, then you need to come to this summit. So if you just send me a message to get on the wait list of who will be notified, I'll make sure you get that notice.
That's awesome. I will be signing up for that.
Yeah, and you have one too?
I have one too coming up. Same time frame as Leah. We're kind of just piggybacking off of each other and working together, which is amazing. I'm going to be doing a posture summit, that posture and pain free. And I actually have the name written down. It's not right in front of me though, of course, but it's going to be all about experts talking about posture, how to live a life that's pain free, how to just kind of love yourself and be confident in who you are as a woman. So I would love to have you message me if you want on the wait list for that too.
That's amazing. Guys, thank you so much for coming and sharing your evening with us. And if you have a friend that wants this recording, just let us know and we can email them and send it out. So thanks a lot and have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.